A very warm welcome, friends, once again for the post-lunch session of the Telecom Leadership Forum. To an extent, I think the tone for the conference was set by the morning keynote from Mr. Akhil Gupta, where he talked about not just the next generation and the next phase telecom companies, but what would their leaders be. Continuing that same tone, we have amidst us, we have Mr. Himanshu Kapania. We could not get some last minute urgency, I think, a victim of the auctions, but we had Mr. Vinod Sahni also as a speaker, but he could not, because he could not make it. He has sent his speech, so that we will be playing, and then his speech would be followed by Mr. Himanshu Kapania's address to all of us, and that would be followed by Mr. Anupam Srivastav's address. So without any further ado, I would like all of you to listen to what Mr. Vinod Sahni, CEO, Reliance Communications, has to say this afternoon.
These set of customers are information empowered and do not buy just a service. They buy the experience and the service ecosystem. The first block of the transformation is about addressing the customer experience in the digital age. That requires telcos to be present where the customers are, and that means all available digital touch points. It also means that the brand experience is intrinsically linked to the multi-touch point, multi-channel experience, and thus telcos need to ensure huge amount of coherence between these. The digital footprint of a customer brings with it humongous amounts of disparate data which can be leveraged to paint a picture of the customer, and customer delight in the digital age will increasingly be associated with a high degree of service personalization based on the picture so formed. This necessitates establishment of a strong digital brand, rapid development of alternate channels, and build-up of significant capabilities in analytics and segmentation. The explosion of mobility and connectivity has led to a disruption in the traditional telco value chain. Increasing amount of disintermediation and disaggregation of the value chain has meant that a host of non-traditional players like OTT service providers and traditional players in non-traditional roles can directly reach out to vie for the customer's attention and consequently his ownership. It also brings in its wake tremendous opportunities for telcos as they can potentially serve both upstream and downstream customers. The second block of the transformation is about reimagining and evolving the telco business model, which shall involve placing bets on adjacent and other emerging service areas and being able to leverage traditional strengths, collaborate and create the service ecosystem of the future. As digital forces reduce transaction costs, value chains disaggregate. Third-party products and services, digital Lego blocks in effect, can be quickly integrated into the gaps. Collaborations executed through alliances and networks allow the sharing of risks, faster research, more specific advertising, and the realization of business models which would be out of reach for companies going it alone. Although transformed customer experiences and business models are the most visible and arguably the most exciting aspects of transformation, they can be enabled only by a robust rework of internal processes, build-up of requisite capabilities, as well as employee enablement. This underpins the third critical block, which is operational transformation. Telcos need to incorporate more agility, intelligence, and business orientation of their IT systems and architecture, which will enable them to respond far more swiftly to changes in customer requirements and market conditions. Tighter integration between network and IT shall help scalability of complex infrastructure, better usage of network capacity, and dynamic quality of service management for service differentiation. Internal capability ramp up through enablement of employee collaboration and process digitization and knowledge pooling is critical, and so is the ability to harness the transformation in capabilities and processes to aid productivity and decision making. Culturally open, dynamic and flexible structures based on mutual trust are the basis of the information economy and should be what telco organizations should morph into. Key challenges on this transformation path occur in all the three elements: initiation, execution, and coordination. Successful transformations need empowered leaders and change agents. A telco leader plays the most significant role in enabling the organization to embrace digital and build the requisite capabilities. Leadership is far more important in times of change than at any other, but its nature has to take into account the more collaborative nature of the digital workplace. Leaders need to drive digital transformation through an iterative process. Envision the digital future for the company, invest in digital initiatives and skills, and lead the change from the top. Many transformation initiatives fail to capture all the potential value available simply because the vision is not transformative enough. Successful digital transformations do not occur bottom up. The onus lies at the very top to create a compelling vision of the future. That, of course, has to be participative, incorporating the views of all major stakeholders. It's imperative for a leader to start with an overarching vision of what needs to be done, with each element of the transformation placed in a context of the broader vision. Leaders need to diagnose the potential value of existing corporate assets and build a capability roadmap to enact the digital vision. The next step is to make right investments in digital initiatives and skills. A telco leader needs to place strategic bets on the potential benefits that transformation brings along. Next lies one of the most critical leadership imperatives of managing a digital transformation: right skilling and right shaping the organization. As digital impacts the entire organization, it requires effective leadership at all levels to drive the digital strategy going forward. Most organizations still rely on mass talent acquisition and a quick fix to secure leaders with the necessary digital capabilities. However, as digital expands across the organization and the war for talent heats up, organizations need to consider a more structured approach to build a healthy, empowered leadership pipeline with the necessary capabilities to lead in this digital era. Create the virtuous digital talent cycle with the right mix of planning, acquisition, development, and retention. Build the social talent acquisition story. Define the path, but keep roles fluid. Place potential leaders in positions that stretch them beyond their current competencies and skills. Coach and support